Hola como están, bienvenidos, en esta ocasión, solo está resolviendo una prueba técnica y intento no hablar mucho porque tengo a tu manes acá enseguida.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos. En esta ocasión, solo estaré resolviendo una prueba técnica e intentaré no hablar mucho porque tengo a dos manes acá enseguida. Luego si hablo se van a distraer y pensar que no pueden trabajar porque yo estoy streameando 2.0. Entonces no sé qué decirles.
Salseado. Retracted, what? Alguien retracteó, güey. ¿Qué? No sabía que existía eso, bro.
Pero mira, o sea, todo lo estamos haciendo en el Google Email, ¿no? Entonces lo movimos
Hola.
todo para el Google. Pero luego me di cuenta que está esta shit de que aquí definen a los users y hacen sheets con él. Y acá lo tienes que volver a definir o si no te corre ese código que tienes al final. Pero nosotros estábamos usando de que para agarrar la info usamos el mismo, pues sí, con cada. Entonces ya hice este constante con el email, que lo pueden checar en un solo. Y es el email de comunicación que ahí entras, ¿no? Entonces ya está, ya lo tengo. Pero para checar esto del Firebase, pues yo tengo un punto de algo. Entonces, o sea, para ver si estaba el correo este en el Firebase. Entonces, o sea, yo no sé si esto está bien, pues. O sea, ¿cuál es la función para checar si algo?
Ya lo tenías, güey.
Pero,
Comenta ese código.
no, pero eso está bien.
Sí, güey, ¿qué tiene más?
O sea, eso está diciendo si en
De hecho,
Firebase.
eso no ocupa wait.
O sea, lo que hace esto es que me está diciendo, hey, puedes checar en la base de datos usuarios si está el email que ya tengo.
No. Aquí estás creando una referencia al usuario.
Ajá.
¿Qué es una referencia al usuario? Pues es un documento en esta database, en esta colección, con este ID. Entonces ocupas un documento que está aquí. User ref. El snapshot ya es cuando mandas a traer el documento. Una cosa es la referencia y otra es el documento, ¿no? Aquí le tienes que dar a wait porque aquí ya va a mandar a pedir el documento. Hasta aquí te va a llegar, o sea, el ref con el snap. La referencia, Simón, está apuntando al usuario, pero no tienes la información. Entonces aquí mandas a pedir la información.
Okay.
Y tienes un docsnap. El docsnap ya le puedes poner exist. Si existe es porque tiene información y ya está creado. Si te dice quién eres, porque le dices una referencia que apuntaba a nada.
Ah, ok. Entonces, if docs not exist,
Y aún te faltó de abajo.
que me diga de que, no está el usuario no está el usuario en la base.
Ahí sí va a estar porque él está diciendo si existe.
Ah, cierto. Entonces le digo eso, está el usuario en la base.
Y ya vas con el vector ahí abajo de la línea sin contacto.
Y esta shit es que todas las. Ok, no está el usuario. Entonces, a ver, tengo que borrar el correo de la base de datos del Firebase.
Pues si necesitas sesión una vez o mira, antes de sesión, cierra sesión y inicia sesión para que veas que ya está creado.
Me estás rompiendo las bolas. Bueno, no puedo cerrar la sesión ahora. No puedo algo.
Como un J.
Que es como. Wow, es como un completo.
¿Qué dice?
Es el mismo. Voy a hacer lo mismo.
Volviste a importar la madre esa que no había.
Se pone sola, güey. Ya la borré 2 veces. Mira, ya no está. Se la acabo de borrar ahorita.
A ver, todo. Sí, van a terminar. No, pues acá está corriendo bien.
¿Está corriendo?
Sí.
O sea, es que contrataron un diseño en esta página para reducido.
A ver, iniciar la sesión y inicia sesión.
Claro, pues.
No, métete en Chrome, ¿verdad? Si es tu usuario, ahí está.
O sea, aquí no debería haber nada en ese ref.
Al redshield de eso, sé que le pusiste con solo para ver qué propiedades tenían, está bien, yo lo he hecho varias veces, pero no nos interesa nada. De hecho, tampoco ese object que está viendo no nos interesa nada, nada más queríamos ver que existiera.
¿Existía el objeto?
Ajá, pues ahí existió, no, ahí no ocuparíamos crearlo.
Ah, ya. Ok, sí tiene sentido. Entonces, si. Entonces, si borro el otro, ahí debería tirar el de que.
Ajá, ahí te debería de tirar el oye, no está creado.
A la verga, ¿qué fue esto? Creo que.
All right.
Ahora que me está
How's it going, everyone? So today, as always, I woke up in the morning on lecture day and I was like, okay, what should we talk about today? And I think this is one topic that has actually been kind of coming up a lot in my life because a lot of people have been asking me for help or asking for help from me, which is kind of really interesting because I've always been on the other side for so long. And I kind of want to just start with, as always, a quick story to contextualize things and kind of put it all in perspective for you all on why this is important and honestly how I am not really even the guy that is the best in the world at asking for help, which maybe makes me someone that is good at, which maybe makes me kind of equipped to even talk about it a little bit because I'm still learning on how to ask for help best, and I think I just want to share kind of my journey on how I asked for help and how it kind of improved my life. I want to set a quick scene here. In 2014, I finished high school. I went in my Snapchat memories, I found this. So there I am. I finished high school, and I always wore the same shirts. So here's me on Snapchat in high school. When you think you have $1 million idea, but can't work on it because of chem homework. So if you followed me in the 12th grade, you were getting stuff like this, right? So that's kind of like the scene. And with all my heart at 18, I just did not want to go to college. Like with all my being, I didn't want to go because I was already kind of making some good amount of money selling shirts online. So I was happy with that. I wanted to keep on working on that. But hey, in 2018, I graduate college. And I ended up moving out to San Francisco. This is me, my brothers, my cousin, and my dad at my San Francisco apartment. So again, even though I didn't want to go to college, I ended up graduating for reasons. Can anybody guess? Parents, yes. Finally, I was free from the clutches of my Pakistani mother and father, so I could actually go out into the world. And finally, I wouldn't dishonor my family by dropping out, right? So I've kind of felt like, okay, like I can finally go out there. College was pretty useless, definitely, even looking back, but some cool stuff still happened, right? For one, I built some products. This is one product I built, got about 500K users in that first year. And I just checked last year, it is still getting 234,000 users as of 2023, which is pretty cool. And I worked on some AI stuff. This was Deep League. Again, just random shit I made that kind of got some people to notice me. I worked on self-driving cars. So I still like did stuff in college, right? Like I still got to do other things, which was great. But to kind of set the scene, that's where I was at the end of like college, right? So that's like 2018. I had stuff, some stuff was making money, some stuff was big, some stuff wasn't, had some flops, etc., right? But I still really felt very, very stagnated by the end of when I finished college, which was 2018. And felt very alone, had very little idea what to do next. I mean, most people who graduate, who leave college, generally don't have any idea what to do next. And I had no idea how to fix the problems that I even had. Like, I knew my own weaknesses, and I knew kind of where I kind of wanted to go, but like very, very, very loosely, but I still didn't quite know how to fix the problems that I had. Yeah, I had no one around me who I felt I could ask for help for these problems that I was having. Everything from like, should I move to a different city, to is this next app idea I have any good? You know, like questions like that. I'd always been so solo in my whole life up until this point. Like, I'd never asked anybody for help ever. Like, completely solo got to where I was. And again, I got to this point, which was decently okay point, but now I felt like, damn, like I have no one around to help me now. Like, this is so sad. On top of that, yeah, in 2018, I really did suck at asking for help because I felt like I had to conquer the world as a solo player. I felt like for some reason that was baked into my head. And so I kind of realized this, and I started to write a newsletter. I don't know why I started this, even looking back, to be honest with you. I guess I was just feeling kind of hopeless in it all, and I was like, okay, at the very least, I'm doing stuff every week. Let me just talk about it online, at the very least, right? I didn't know what Twitter was. I didn't have Instagram. I just had a Snapchat, and I was like, okay, I have a Snapchat, and I have this email thing, so I'll talk about what I'm doing there. So I started to write the newsletter. I wrote it every week for nearly 4 years, so I was kind of hyper consistent on it. And have any of you ever read my newsletter? I'm just curious who here. Great. Yeah, you're not missing out on much, Alec. But I can talk a little about the contents. It covered various things, this newsletter. This was my first newsletter ever, Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. And I was working on this thing called BuildSpace, which was very different from what it is today. But this was way back when, like right after college. And BuildSpace is a place where users can learn new things, mainly programming, by combining their interests with something that they enjoy. So that's what it was way back then. And you can see how many people are on the email list there, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's Alec. There's my dad. There's Sharif, who you see walking around a lot. So kind of like the characters characters in my life that these are the only people I felt like would care about what I was working on. So I started. I then kept talking about stuff. I started talking about the anime I was watching. So Death Note. How many of you seen Death Note? Yeah. So in this email newsletter, I was talking about like specific fan theories about Death Note. Specifically, you know, in Death Note, you write someone's name and they die. I was like, oh shit, that's a plot hole. What if someone doesn't have a name, right? Do they die? And so I fucking Googled it. I went into like the Death Note Stack Exchange, got my answer. Like, no, actually, that person was automatically assigned a name 780 days in by a Shinigami. So again, based off even everything I'm saying right now, I was sometimes talking about just straight nonsense. I talked about my ideas for stuff I had, stuff I could build in the future. So again, this is all 2018. This was an idea that I had. Create a program that is able to scan programs for common mistakes using machine learning, and then kind of help the engineer find their problems faster, right? I would also just be talking about stuff like new ideas I had, right? So this was another idea I had called Kanga 2. And again, the kind of contents were like really vast, but it was always like my life and what I was working on. So just to give you guys context, right? Initially, no one really gave a fuck, you know, like no one replied. I had my dad, you know, Mazhar Majid, so he would reply to a lot of them. So, you know, as long as you are, Farzana, as long as you're on top of your shit, you have no regrets about short-term failures, you will find, you know, my dad being very supportive, you will find the light at the end, your hard work will pay off, trust me on that. Keep your brain and body, keep working on your brain and body, blah, 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 you know, so my dad supporting me. So again, this was kind of one of the first kind of replies I got to these newsletters. Alec, so 2019, Alec just being supportive, beautiful read. Hope to get the concurrent user count up. So he was talking about how many users I had on the thing I was working on. So it's cool, you know, like this, I got one reply maybe on average every 2 weeks. Eventually, some new people started popping into my life. This guy hits me up, David Arnetto. You remember David Arnetto? David Arnetto was this random guy at Google. And he was like, I would love to just talk to you about your ideas. And I was like, oh, at this time, like, oh shit, like cool, someone I don't know sharing curiosity. I must be onto something. And I ended up going to Google. I ended up getting lunch with him. Ends up being a great guy in New York, and it was just kind of an amazing experience. And to this day, I don't talk to him to this day, but I remember we talked for a long time, and I haven't talked to Dave in a while. How about you, David Arnetto? Hope he's okay, David, if you're watching this. And so after about a year of doing this, actually, a year of just like grinding this newsletter, one guy in particular hits me up that I felt like was kind of different, a new character in my life. And his name was Sean Puri. And how many of you know this guy? I'm just curious. Cool, so this guy, at this point, Sean Puri is kind of like internet celebrity, massive podcast, probably biggest business podcast there is. And yeah, just like he's not a nobody, that's for sure, right? And what's funny is he just replies, this is my first ever interaction with Sean. He replies to my newsletter, and he just says, good luck, bro, let me know if I can help. And this was real. This was the real one from 2019. And I'm just mind blown, right? Because at the time, I'm a nobody. Like, I'm an absolute nobody. At best, I have like a couple of things that I built on my GitHub. That's about it. And Sean was also not a nobody for sure. He had just sold his first company, right? But he wasn't anywhere near like where he is today even, right? So at the end of the day, we're kind of both just randoms, actually. But Sean really felt like he was very ahead of me. Like, I wanted to start a company, and Sean had already started a company and sold the company. So I was like, oh shit, it's pretty cool. Like, and he just replied to me. So all of a sudden, it's kind of interesting, right? And so that kind of keeps going, right? Every 1 to 2 weeks, Sean replies to my newsletter, which at this point has maybe 100 people on it. He would say sometimes, dope post. That's it. Sometimes he would literally, I would talk about a new idea, and he would say, hey dude, it's good to do stuff like this, clarifies your thinking, keeps you honest. I want to be like, yeah, this is a dope idea, do it. But in reality, I think this is a fuck. He's going to waste 6 to 12 months of his life on this. Sometimes replies like that, just him being honest about what I'm working on. Sometimes it's just him roasting me. He's like, this newsletter sucks now. I miss your newsletter back when it was talking about, what you tried, right? Now you're just giving unsolicited advice. They're essentially like stupid Medium articles. Like, so sometimes he just roasts me, right? Sometimes he would just be like, yo, like, let's talk tomorrow. What's your number? Like, he would just literally be like, yo, are you available right now? Sometimes he would help me go through some really tough emotional decisions. I remember one in particular. I wanted to leave a company that I co-founded, and I had no one to talk to about that. Talk to Sean. I remember I got on the phone with him, 2 hours. We figured it out. It got to the point where we're thinking about starting a company together. We're talking all about our idea, everything, right? So it kind of crazy, right? That it all started from just a guy being like, here. Right? Because I think a lot of you probably have people like this in your life that are down to help you, but I don't know, I feel like a lot of times it takes a certain skill to actually get help from them and to build on top of that relationship. And I want to just talk about, and I think this relationship with Sean that I built up, it was almost all over email. Almost all over email. And they were almost all like little responses like this. So it's interesting because yeah, I think right after this email in particular, where this guy literally says, let me just summarize this, right? At this point, he's like, I will fly you out to San Francisco, I will fund you to work on an idea, and I will literally like work with you every week on the idea, right? And he even lays out like how much we'd split ownership, like everything's kind of laid out. And I'm like mind blown at this point. I'm like, holy shit, like this guy is really down to help me. Like, he's really down to take a chance on me and help me. And it's at that moment where I was like, damn, I should navigate the world with other people alongside me. I should bring other people along my journey. I shouldn't have to just play the game solo in my head all day. And I think this moment in particular really kind of made that obvious for me. And yeah, Sean's replies, man, they really were a weekly blessing. Like, I would sometimes write that newsletter just because Sean would reply. Sometimes, because that's my only motivation. It's like, okay, at the very worst, there's a 25% chance that Sean reads something interesting and tells me something interesting, right? And so that was enough for me. I would just keep on making that newsletter, which would take me like 4 hours a week. because I think the main thing is Sean helped me in ways that I didn't know I even needed. Like, I'm not like asking Sean questions like, hey Sean, how do I do X? It's more like I'm telling Sean my story, and then Sean kind of reflects back like, have you thought about X, Y, Z, right? And that to me was a lot more helpful because I didn't even know the questions that I had. I never really, I don't come from the world of starting companies or starting a startup, right? So he did. And I felt like he helped me navigate that world because I came into the startup world not knowing anything. And so yeah, in 30 emails, 10 to 20 phone calls, this man changes my trajectory, right? And I think that is mind-blowing, that in 30 emails and 10 phone calls, that someone can do that. Someone that I never met, someone that I never met him physically, by the way, until like years later. It's just mind-blowing how that can happen. With very few touch points, right? So, why am I telling you all this? Why am I giving you my whole ass story on me and this guy? Because I actually think that most people, not just you all, but just most people, actually really suck at asking for help. And I thought about this a lot. I thought about like why. We'll get more into that and like why I think that's the case. But I think most importantly about why I'm telling you all this is because I think you all need help. Not because you're struggling like forever, you know? At one point, you will naturally stagnate. I'm sure you've all seen this kind of like comparison many times where like this is what you think it's going to be like. You know, you're straight up all the time for the rest of your life. But in reality, it looks a lot more like this, right? Where you kind of get like a big spike and then you have another big spike and then it's like that. And you have another big spike and then it's flat again. This to me is like more realistic because this to me is like shows that you are stagnating, right? So even if you look at this, right here, right? You were flat for maybe like 3 months. You were like in the second place for 3 months. And then you figure something out for 3 months. And then you were flat for 3 months. And then you figure something out in another 3 months. And again, then you just went down. You literally lost. You were back to where you were like maybe 6 months ago. But then, bada bing, you figure something else out. So these moments where you are like going from like flat to kind of up, those are moments that are very hard to figure out by yourself. Very hard. And you actually need to do something to really force yourself past stagnation. Otherwise, you'll stay in this zone for months if you are just left to yourself. Very few times you will figure out by yourself. You can, but it's very hard. So for example, some of you may feel like you are stuck here right now, and you kind of want to get to this little inflection point, but you don't really know. You're not sure. You're putting in the work. What are you missing? You know, like these type, like you don't even know the right questions anymore, right? Some of you may feel like you're here. Like you feel like you got through the initial thing. You had some magic, and now you're stuck again. You know, it's tough, and you want to get here. You want to get to like that next inflection point that you don't know how. And again, some of you may be like, yo, I'm going backwards. Like, things are going downhill for me. What the fuck am I doing? Am I just like, you know, why am I going backwards? Why am I going down again? Like, I want to be going here. So again, these are things that these little moments here are like moments of periods of stagnation. And I think I just want you to know that it's very normal and very difficult to deal with emotionally. But overall, I just want to let you know that this is normal. And again, like I said, you can break out of this by yourself, I think. It's just really hard. It's very hard. And I think you can only go so far alone. So what do you need? You need those people in your life that are ahead of you. Not just the people that are like around you. Those are great people to have no matter what. For example, this group, right? Your friends you've made here at Build Space. Those are great people to have around you. But generally, it's good to have people in your life that are ahead of you. In your specific domain, in your specific class, in whatever you're trying to do, right? There's always going to be that person, at least in my life, you know, Sean is one example of a person in my life that helped me break through a major period of stagnation and helped me figure out my next, right? So you'll always have that person. I'm sure even today in your lives, you probably feel like there's a person in your life that will take you to them. Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a
O sea, ¿qué decir?
So what should this look like? What can it look like when you're kind of asking for help or looking for help? There's a few things. It could look like a classic mentor.
En la noche vamos.
Right? So
¿Cómo se llama
Steve
ese
Jobs,
gordito?
Mike Newton,
¿Qué horas son?
Steve Jobs' mentor, gave you money, right? This is your classic mentor-mentee relationship.
Ya te lo antojé, ¿no,
It could
güey?
be something like Porter Robinson and Skrillex. Porter Robinson was nobody. Skrillex finds him and says, "Hey man, I want to help you. Like you're making, you make." Porter Robinson made this really great EP called Spitfire, and Skrillex sees that. And to this day, 10 years later, they're still like helping each other. And Porter Robinson still sees Skrillex as his mentor. It may look like Dr. Dre and Eminem. Dr. Dre finds him, and then fucking 20 years later, here they are, still collabing, still doing things together. Again, more of a mentor-mentee relationship. It can look more like a partnership. Maybe that's what it ends up being. Key and Peele, they found each other, they made each other better, right? And you can argue that they have made some of like the best kind of improv comedy stuff I've ever seen. A lot of people, anyone know who the guy on the left is? Walt Disney. Anyone go? Many of you probably no one knows the guy on the right is, I'm guessing. No, not Roy. This is Ub Iwerks. He was the kind of more expert animator in the early days. So when Walt Disney first started, Walt was pretty good, but this guy was even better at animation. Like he was like, you have like the really like great like developer, right? That just like come in like do the yeah, that guy was like that back in the early. But again, Walt had that partner, right? Because Walt Disney knew like I'm not the best animation. I need a guy that's gonna help me figure it out. This guy, right? So that's more of a partnership. We can keep going. This is Miyazaki. Miyazaki was great at making movies, but sucked at marketing them. So he found this other guy named Suzuki. Suzuki to this day markets every Ghibli movie. So again, you need help. It can come in any format. It can look like this, or it can look like this. It really just depends. Or it can look as simple as this. I saw this moment today. I took a picture, Niyati and Ali. I don't know what was going on, but Niyati, what was going on? Were you showing him something funny, or? You're showing him Island's Instagram. Great. Yeah. Just a moment like this can be like, what do you think? Again, I'm not sure if you were asking for help in that moment, but it looked to me like you were asking for help, or you're just helping each other. I don't know. If not, then it's a false narrative. But I see that, regardless, I see this scene all the time, at Build Space. While you guys are here, you guys are constantly showing each other stuff. So again, maybe you're not at this point yet, where you got this level of kind of help that you found, but this counts. So you're starting somewhere, correct? And it's very important to realize. So, a lot of you are here at this point where you're asking for help like this in small ways, but how can we improve on how we ask for help? How can we ask better questions? How can we, kind of essentially ask in a really pointed way, push the work forward by asking others for help, so we don't have to play the game solo. So let's go through. I want to go through some ways. Number one, go direct. This is the most obvious thing I can possibly say, which is, if there is someone out there that can help you, you should go ask them. And let me kind of give you a simple framework to kind of follow there. Take something very small you're trying to get good at, and that you need help on. Maybe it's, I don't know, something technical. Maybe it's short form content. Maybe it's, I think Derek back here were talking about Facebook ads. Yeah, you were talking about Facebook ads. Maybe you want to get good at Facebook ads. Something small you're trying to get good at, right? Okay. Now find the person that's 2 to 3 steps ahead of whatever, ahead of you at that thing. They don't have to be experts at that thing, but they're like ahead of you for sure. Just have it like that. That's like the simplest thing you can possibly do. You're not trying to find people that are going to like save your project or save your life. You're trying to find people that are going to like help you in a very pointed way. You should know what you want help on. So again, content, maybe it's a developer thing, whatever. I did this last week. Last week, I got back into coding land with Alec, and I was like, all right, I have no idea how to build an AI app. I literally have zero. I have not made a single AI app since 2020. So what do? I get in a call with Naveed. Naveed is from SF1. He built an AI app. I get in a call with Sharif, me and of them
Porque
last
todo
week,
eso
it was
hace lo que
Tuesday,
quiere, güey.
and we just
El otro día
asked
estábamos
Sharif on a whiteboard, how
el
do
otro
you
día
build
estábamos en
this?
media rutina y dijo,
And
ay, no quiero se va a hacer cardio.
having to go through it step by step. So again,
Pero
we
aparte
know these
dije
people
que
ahead
media
of us,
rutina.
so there's no shame in that.
Y
We
el
just
man
have to
hizo
help.
así que 40 minutos de cardio.
So for most of you, and for most of you, those that can help you are always a DM away.
Bueno, está incluido.
Generally, I believe that. Because again,
Güey,
you're looking for
está
people
divertido,
who
porque
steps
estás
away
ahí,
from
güey.
you, not like 20 steps
Y
away.
debajo, ¿sabes cómo?
If you're a
Realmente no
musician
estás
today,
ahí.
you try to reach
Estás
out to
ahí,
Skrillex, pretty hard,
pero no estás ahí.
right?
Solo el grupo es capaz
But if
de
you try to reach out to
decirlo.
another
Ajá,
artist,
güey,
that's
que
maybe-
llega un momento que
100%
la verdad estoy cansado, no piensas en ello.
I want to give an
Ya,
example.
güey, decides darle, no piensas en ello, güey, te vas en trance. güey.
Sammy, what's this
Eso
guy's
lo
name?
pasa en las fiestas.
Talwinder.
Y
So Sammy hits me up on email and says, you know, Farzad, do you have a connect with Talwinder? And I was like, hey, yo, man, definitely not. But what I did was I just went to his Instagram. At this point, let's see. You felt like this guy could help you, right? Can I help your
Ya
sound
vi
a
que
little
trae
bit?
uniforme
He's
de
based in
prepa,
California.
güey.
Cool, so amazing. Sammy has identified someone that can potentially help him on his journey. Which is fucking, it's a shout out to you for finding it. That's the hardest part sometimes.
Güey, está hermoso.
Great, so now we have a couple of options. We can message him. 273K followers.
Hay una canción.
I don't know, what do you think?
Justo hay una canción sobre eso, güey.
It's up. So what do? I click this guy's website.
Güey, yo
Okay,
sé, güey,
cool.
por eso
It's,
me siento mal, güey, se me tengo voltear otra
I
parte,
found his
pero
Twitter.
no puedo.
Turns out he has 800 followers on Twitter. His DMs are open, and he last tweeted 10 days ago, or whatever, it's 14 days ago. All right, that's already a potential.
Güey, guacho,
you know?
28.
And then we can keep going and keep trying to find this, you know, but again, this guy is so small.
Está.
And I hope that, I know this may seem like a big personality or like a hard person to get to, but at the end of the day, there is a path to them. And I think this person is totally someone you can reach out to. And if this person doesn't respond, that's fine. Let's find someone a little bit smaller.
Ah, pero la 17 no se pudo.
But again, it may not seem obvious on how you can talk to this guy, but you gotta do some digging. You gotta do some work on your own, right? Kind of find them, get to them. Okay, cool, so that's my first thing. Just go direct, find the people ahead of you, a little bit ahead of you, and a very specific aspect of the work, and then kind of go from there. Yeah.
I think if you go back like a couple slides to his website,
Yes.
it says my music will help me find my people. So even you can leverage that as like as a point in common. Like, hey, you have this on your website, and I need this help. Like, I don't know if that's the way.
Yeah. No, I think like we can talk more about some in a different time on how you would actually like format the message. But at the end of the day, yeah, great observation. I didn't notice. My music will help me find my people. Holy shit, this guy's trying to find you, Samia. Like, great, like you should talk about that. You should get to him. That's so funny. I didn't even read that. Great catch. My second kind of like I wouldn't say tip, but it's just like a kind of more pointed way to ask for help. This is my favorite way to ask for help, is to open yourself up for help and let others track your journey. So what does that mean? One second. See, what is this slide? Oh yeah, okay. So here is where you're actually going directly to people and asking them for help, right? Like you're literally reaching out to them. In this case, Samia would directly reach out to this artist that could potentially help him. Or in this case, I'm directly reaching out to my buddies and asking them for help, right? But I think what's also interesting is those who will reach out to you to just help you naturally. How can you make that happen? Because in my experience, those are the people that have become like my greatest allies and the people that have stuck around in my life for longest. What's obvious here is like if you want someone to help you, you have to give them the opportunity. They have to know that you need help or that you are even wanting help. Generally today, if I look up a lot of your guys' work, a lot of your socials, a lot of your profiles, it's not really obvious what you need help with actually, to be honest. You want to make it hyper obvious that you need help and why and from who, etc. Right? And let me kind of paint the picture. For me, again, I told you earlier, I did this with a newsletter. I knew if I grinded a newsletter for 4 years, that something good would happen. Particularly, what would happen is I'd give more opportunity for people to help me, right? Through a simple reply. So again, Sean, earlier, I gave him the opportunity to even reply. Otherwise, if I never sent that email, dude, Sean's not gonna talk to me. Like, there's no reason, right? So again, Sean, I pop up in his inbox. He's like, all right, this far as the kid, back at it again. Let's see what he's up to. Reads it and then replies, right? So I gave him the opportunity. And again, newsletter worked for me because I love writing. I've always loved writing. And, or not always loved writing, but it's always been an interest. And that worked for me. Other things that I've tried, sometimes I literally just write one-page Google Docs, and then I send them to people that I want help, or I just post them online, or I email them out to like people that I think could help me. Another option, right? I've actually asked, how many of you have written a one-page doc for me? I'm just curious. James Johnson, I think one more. Adam as well. Yes, 3 people. That helped me a lot because I read your doc, and I immediately, like in 2 minutes, understand what's their story, where are they at, what's their problem, what do they need help with, how can I help? You know, like instantly. I'm not sitting there for a 45-minute conversation trying to get it out of you. You know, you just give it to me straight. So again, these are 2 things that work for me, but let's talk about some other examples. This is a kid, I don't know where I found out about him, but his name's, what, you know?
I know.
Oh, from where?
TKS.
Ah, TKS. So this is Ayan, and I don't know, one day he emails me, and he's like, hey, Farza, can I put you on my weekly newsletter where I send out vlogs? Or my weekly vlog letter thing, whatever it is. And yeah, he just sends out these vlogs every single month, and he sends them out like really every month. And it's a 2-minute video where he talks about what he did that month. Amazing. It works for him because he likes doing in front of the camera. He's vocally pretty good. It works. And I actually watch these every time. I've been watching him for like a year now. And I've never talked to him. I've sent him maybe 5 messages, but I always like reply. I'm like, hey, Ayan, like, how are you doing this? Do you need help with that? And I'm kind of always like, he gives me the opportunity to help him. You know, that's the most important thing. Another example, this is Nishu and Stavan. So Nishu will literally just send Stavan like full-on vlogs and essays about how his stuff is going, right? Like directly. And Stavan sometimes replies, Stavan sometimes doesn't. And I think what's important is like Nishu is giving the opportunity for Stavan to even reply, right? Like, not many people are going to go out and literally make little videos like this, you know? I have another person who, again, I'm not sure just like a buddy at this point, but he, about every, like once a month, sends me like a 5-minute voice note about updating me about his work, his life, and how he feels. And I have no pressure to reply, but that's how he keeps me updated. And I think he sends those out to 20 people, like every month, right? So again, I reply to those, I help him out. But this is another way. Maybe you're more comfortable with something like this. It's more private. I think that this will always hold people back from doing this. You'll always be like, damn, like, do I really want to tell the world or this person that I've been failing for like 6 weeks straight? Or do I really want to tell the world or this person that things aren't going as great as it could be going? I think that's like actually pretty hard. But you'll quickly realize, what I learned at least, is that nobody cares about me. I'm just like a really small fish, to be honest, and damn, like no one's gonna be thinking this. It's just in my head, but yeah.
So I've had that thought before for sure, but I've also had another thought that is just like what I'm doing is insignificant,
Yeah.
and there's no reason that I should even put something out. It's like literally no one should care.
For sure. You know, if we go back to that one slide where I'm talking about the fan theory of Death Note, I'm telling you, nobody gives a shit about that one fan theory except me. Huh? Again, they're not on my email list. It's more like, yeah, like even if something's so insignificant, it was still cool to you. So like, at least give someone the opportunity to decide for themselves if it's insignificant, you know? I think that helps a lot. On that Death Note email, by the way, someone did reply. And it was just like a funny, like, that was interesting, you know, type reply. We can pull it up after this. But yeah, turns out even someone found that interesting. So I don't know, my philosophy has always been, let the other person decide whether or not this is worth their time. You just be honest. You just be like, be real with what you think is cool. And yeah, the more you put yourself out there, your struggles, not just the more you put yourself out there, because the whole world, I want to be very clear about this, kind of like going online and just talking about your wins doesn't do much. Like, I just made $100. You know, people who like post like stuff like that all the time, like, I just made $100, now I made $500, now I'm making $1 million. It's like, well, it's cool, but like, that doesn't give me a place, that doesn't help me understand where I can help you, right? Where are you struggling? You know, like, where are you flopping? What's the last thing that you tried that didn't work? What'd you learn? You know, like, how are you getting these thoughts out there? Right now, a lot of you probably aren't. But again, it's up to you how you can do it. Maybe it looks like this with a single person. Maybe it looks like this with like 20 people. It really is up to you and what you kind of feel best doing. Yeah.
I feel like, and this we have talked about this before as well, like we end up going into this loop of trying to feel legit in public.
Yep.
And like making a brand out of ourselves and like comparing ourselves to like the top artists or the top like builders in the world that we see.
Yeah.
So we don't put our struggles and stuff out there. We only put our awards and achievements out there to just like make an image.
For sure.
Sort.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, that people do that. I think that it's just up to you to decide if you want to do that. Like, do you want to just put yourself out there and make like just be seen by the world as great? Is that your goal, actually? Like, do you really care? Again, for me, I guess never cared. So I guess I never actually, it never burned me. It's not that I didn't care about what the world thought of what I was doing. It's just that I never got burned from it, you know? To this day, I've never been burned by like putting my struggles out there. In fact, it makes people like have more empathy with me, sympathize with me. And I think that's kind of interesting too. So, but yeah, again, you don't have to be public about this. This is whatever you're comfortable with. Like, Nishu just texts Stavan. I have another guy that just texts me a voice note once a month. So it's kind of up to you, actually. There should be that group of people that are ahead of you, maybe 5 people, 10 people, whatever it is, maybe one person that you feel like you can kind of depend on. That will not judge you. I think that's pretty hard too, but yeah.
This might be a niche question, but I usually like to post this kind of, like, post the struggles on Twitter.
Yeah.
And just be open on Twitter. But a lot of my sales for my course came from Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of me feels a little weird to be, like, honest about the course experience or just, like, post behind the scenes of it now that those people have been the people I've sold to. So how does that dynamic change when you're, like, selling to the people that you're also...
I just feel like that the fear of being judged isn't a great place to make decisions from. Just who gives a fuck? Like, if they're not gonna buy it, they're not gonna buy it, you know? I don't know, easier said than done, but for me, I just don't care. Like, okay, like, then that means they're not gonna buy from me. All right, we'll find someone else. Should be okay, but again, easier said than done. And the last thing, and probably the hardest thing, is be the type of person people want to help. I have a question. How many of you here have asked a teammate for help or feedback? You've reached out to us, almost everyone. Okay, cool. Follow-up question, and please be hyper honest. How many of you came back within a day or two and then showed them the result? Like you showed it to them, like literally on your phone or your laptop. Okay, yeah, cool, makes sense. Most of you didn't do it. Some of you did, shout out, good stuff. Why is that important? Pretty much, you have to think about things from the perspective of the person helping you. Let's just say it's one of us, right, who work at BuildSpace. Again, you kind of got to make it interesting for even us. Like, are we helping you out of the goodness of our heart? Are we helping you because it's our job? Are we helping you just because we want to help you? That would be the best reason, right? So again, when even like you do something like this, when you ask someone for feedback or you ask someone to help you with something and they helped you, you should be back within like at minimum an hour and at maximum a day showing them how it went. For example, many of you have asked me for advice on your TikToks or your shorts. And I give you my 5 to 10 minutes of advice and my take, all right? But then no one's come back to me showing me the result. Like not a single one who's asked me for help. What's up with that? Like now I don't really feel like helping you after, or I have less of an incentive because I'm like, oh, here they are, back again, asking me to help with another thing. I don't even know how that last thing went. Like, are they just gonna kind of waste my time again here? You know, like that's kind of a thought going through my head. And I kind of stack that up 10, 15 times, all of a sudden, you're a really hard person to help, you know? And how do you solve that? Very simple, like, Farza, you gave me this feedback, I tried it, here was the result, you know? So easy. So if you ask someone for help, remember, you have a responsibility to actually go back to them and update them. Because if you don't, they're gonna be like, so where'd they go? And then it's not fun. It's just not fun, basically. So I think it's worth asking some questions even to yourself internally right now. Is it a pain to help you? Like honestly, like when you ask for help, do you feel like you're kind of getting the person to get out of their way, and it's like you're like just tugging them aside and being like, yo, help me, you know? Or like, is it a pain to help you? Like, how do you ask for help? How do you pull people aside? How do you make time? This sort of stuff, right? Just simplest first question, is it a pain to help you? And again, you kind of all know the answer internally, whatever it is. Do you make it simple to understand your problems? Am I sitting there for 20 minutes just trying to understand whatever it is you're trying to ask me? Or do you ask me in the first 60 seconds? Generally, we're pretty nice here, and we'll be pretty patient, and we'll take time to understand your problem. But most of the world, not so much. They'll be like, wow, I really don't have 20 minutes to spend going to this person's life and figuring out their deepest, darkest problems. I gotta go, it's time to go, So just make it simple to understand your problems. Like, do you actually, and a lot of you, again, you have an answer, do you drain the person helping you? This is probably many of you have not asked this question. You ask us for a lot of help. You probably ask other people for a lot of help. Are you draining us? Was it energizing to help you? Or did it feel like just like a chore, How can it not feel like a chore? If you ask Josh for help on a video, what does Josh want? What does Josh want to see? Josh probably wants to see you succeed. So succeed and then show Josh. And if you didn't succeed, that's fine. Still show Josh. Because then that's going to energize whoever you're helping. And I think this is the last one. Does the person helping you feel like they're seeing the fruits, right? Most of the time, the people that will help you the most are the ones that are down to invest in you over months and years. And we'll get into that sort of relationship in a sec. But for that to happen, they really got to see that something is happening, Otherwise, it really does get tiring. Again, if one of you asks me for kind of my take 20 days in a row, and then 20 days later, you're in the same place, I'm not annoyed, Generally, people won't be annoyed, but I'll just be like, oh man, I don't really feel like expending the energy now to help them. And that's not a good place to be, right?
Estamos haciendo un cagadero aquí, voy por un taco y voy a seguir chambeando. Gracias a una de forma ya puedo hablar, entonces vamos a ver.
Done anyways. You actually were like, oh, Farza, check this out. You mentioned doing this. I tried it out. Here's what happened. Let's see you do that for 20 days in a row with me, all right? I will be your biggest fan. I will do everything and anything to help you win in life, right? Because it's oh my God, they are actually I'm actually helping them, and that feels great. And it sounds like they're also enjoying working with me. Great. It's essentially we're friends now. Cool. And I think that's the best place to get to. And I think when you think about help, don't think of help as a one-off request, ever, where it's what do you think about this, and then leave, Or what do you think about this tweet, and then leave. It's not that. It's actually a very long-term relationship with the person that's helping you. Of course, it may start with something small, which is what do you think about this tweet? Great. And then maybe in 2 days, you show me how that tweet went. And then you show me more. Now we're talking more about your Twitter. Now we're talking about your other socials. And now it turns out we've been talking for 3 to 6 months, And we've been helping each other for 3 to 6 months. That's an example of how a one-off request can turn into something a lot longer. But again, I think a lot of people think about asking for help as a one-off, and let's hop on a quick call. I get these times. I guess I'm also guilty of sending those types of emails to people back when I was in college, especially, where I'd be like, hey, let's hop on a call. I think you're interesting. It's well, I don't know. Who are you? Yes.
So something I have a question about that. Some of the people that that are ahead of me that I ask for help, I'll have periods of my life where I'm consistently talking to them, once every week or once every 2 weeks or something.
Yep.
And then there's other periods where it goes years, and I'll talk to them once every 3 months or 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And those feel after it gets to the point where the interactions are more spread out, it feels more one-off. So is that what you're classifying as one-off, or do you mean just talking to the person one time on one call?
I think one-off is more talking to the person one time on one call. I think your situation is, it sounds like it was a good relationship. You got what you wanted out of it, and you moved on with life. I think that's okay. We have these. I'll talk about one relationship like that I have with a person right now. But I think one-off is, like, you want to kind of reduce one-offs in the sense of, like, I'll give you a perfect example of a one-off, right? Where it's like, okay, I'll go back to like the TikTok example. A lot of you ask me for TikTok advice constantly, right? And I don't know why. I've never made a TikTok personally myself, so take that as you will. But again, like, if you keep returning to a person with one-off requests and you don't tell them how the previous requests went, it's just like a one-off. Every conversation is a new thread. And you want to kind of keep like one big old thread, you know? You're writing a book with them. You're not writing like, some of you, I'm like writing a new book every time I talk to you. And it's like, okay, let's not do that. It's very hard, you know, on the person that's helping you. Remember, you will never annoy a person with results, no matter good, no matter bad, ever. Like, no one's ever going to be mad that like you did something and then it didn't work. They're just happy that you even tried. Remember that. I want to give one final story. Some of you already know this guy. I've talked about this guy a bunch, but this is Furkan. He runs Founders Inc. And this man single-handedly has changed my life probably like 10 times. Not even exaggerating. It's ridiculous. And I want to talk a little bit about how it started, how I put in a lot of effort to kind of make the relationship work, and how it worked out for me over a very long period. And it also was cool, it also was really fun for him. First of all, I wrote this blog post in 2018, January 2018. A long blog post about how I did this deep learning thing, right? It goes kind of mini viral. I got like 1.4K claps there, whatever that means on Medium, if you remember Medium. And I got 1.4K claps. And Furkan was one of the people who read this, right? Someone had posted it on Twitter or on Reddit, and Furkan read it on Reddit. So Furkan knew me actually from this, but we never talked. From there, I have my buddy Sharif, who did the talk here. In 2018, Sharif messaged me this. He says, I would talk to Furkan because he's so close to you in SF. This dude is like the Elon Musk of video game streaming, whatever that means. But back then, this was really exciting for me and Sharif. So again, Sharif knew him from another thing. And then I just messaged Furkan. I DM'd him on Twitter. I'm like, hey man, thanks for the follow. My boy Salmon has been talking a bunch about you lately. Super glad you're helping his team. I'm not even asking for anything. I'm just like, hey man, thanks. And I'm glad that you're working with my friends. And then he essentially, Furkan follows up. You know, he's like, I think he mentioned you're in SF. Fucking 2 days later, we're meeting up, you know? And he offers me dinner at his office, where his chef comes and cooks for us. It was pretty awesome. So again, this is actually how it started. Like, this is like I just ripped it straight from Twitter. And this just goes on and on, to be honest with you. Like, we just keep on talking every single week. It starts to get like, I can go through like 50 messages that looks just like this, where it's like us saying, you want to talk? And then him saying, I'm around at this time, you know, constantly. And you know, I was honestly kind of relentless. I was kind of relentless. I didn't have any like, I didn't think too much about annoying him, because I kind of just felt like if I was annoying him, he'd tell me. So great, let me just kind of keep asking for kind of things from him. And then from there, we actually kept a weekly chat for every week for almost 3 years. Like every week for 3 years. Now, how did that happen? What were those calls? Very simple. Every week, I think it was like Wednesday nights usually, Furkan would call me. We would screen share, and I would show him what I did that week, and he would be like, this XYZ thing you're doing is just stupid. Stop doing that. Try this new thing. And he would give me his take. I would then try some new stuff. I would also kind of listen to his takes, and I would spend another week, and again, we would come back to that again. So every week was actually really fun, because for Furkan, think about it from his point of view, he is like seeing some random dude go off and explore ideas that he himself is interested in. So for Furkan, it was just like, oh man, like let's just see what happens, you know? Like I'm just curious. And yeah, that was great. That was like the initial thing that kind of kept us going for in the early days. And then yeah, after that, we just kept on talking. And I literally, I want to kind of be clear. I told this man everything, everything. I told him about my emotional breakdowns. I told him about my horrible losses, my greatest wins. And I think my goal was always to be like, how could I be the type of person I would want to help? Because I know that as Farza, I'm like, I ask a lot out of folks generally. But how can I make that a kind of like how can I make that fun for the person at least, you know? So it doesn't feel like, oh, fuck, I have to hop on a Zoom call with Farza again. God damn it, I really don't want to do this. You know, like that shouldn't be the feeling. It should be like, oh shit, let's go. Like, what's Farza cooking this week? You know, I think that was usually the feeling. Maybe Furkan would say different, but maybe we can bring him in and we can have him tell us if this is true or not. And again, I want to be, like I'm saying, I shared everything with him. I was at one point sharing how my mom and dad were freaking out about me moving to San Francisco, and he was giving me advice around like how to deal with my parents. At one point, by the way, I'm a one-man company for like years. I bring Furkan into my Slack channel. It's just me and Furkan in Slack, and he's my team. And I would just keep on updating him every single day, like multiple times a day, tagging him with ideas that I had or new kind of experiments that I was running. So it was like very relentless, and it was very hands-on, and I give him a lot of opportunity to help me, you know? Like that was the most important thing. For example, this was an idea that I had. You don't have to read it, but summarized is, I was like, oh, what if you could learn about racing drones at your homeschool? Racing drones are pretty fun. Kids these days are into robots. What if we did this thing where we like helped people make drone racing scenes in alongside their homeschool in Florida? Again, very specific, very niche. But I remember he replied to this like, please stop thinking about this. Like, stop. Like, whatever you're doing, stop. Like, keep doing the thing that you told me about the other week. And then again, like these sorts of interactions helped a lot. And he felt like a partner, you know, all the time. Despite the fact that he wasn't actually literally working with me on stuff. And then again, all the way down to the biggest wins. This was my diary from 2020. I get into YC, which was a big deal. And then I got to share that win with him, right? Because I'm pretty solo in my life, right, for the most part. I think I started this talk earlier sharing with you guys that I didn't have anybody to help me. Didn't have anyone that I could talk to about this stuff. Finally, I had someone to talk to. I could even share with someone that I got into Y Combinator because my parents aren't going to care. My cousins and brothers aren't going to care. They don't even know what that is. But hey, Furkan cares, and that was fun. It was fun to just share that with him, right? And so in a weird way, I've learned that no one actually wants to help you. Like nobody. Like no one goes out and be like, I want to help Kieran. I want to help James. You know, no one does that. And when they do that, it actually ends up being kind of weird. So maybe like stay away from those people that are like, I can help you, you know? It's like, okay, man, all right, shit, okay, maybe. Or I can be your mentor. It's like, all right, dude, bet, okay. Honestly, yeah, no one seeks to help you. It just kind of happens. Again, I showed you the Sean story. I showed you the Furkan story. I showed you the story with I showed you a bunch of other stories. This just kind of happens, and you have to create an environment for it to have happened. Otherwise, it won't. And yeah, over time, what's beautiful about this is you kind of just become good friends. Like at this point, Furkan's not my mentor. Like that's just kind of weird. He's more like a brother, more like a friend, right? But that just kind of happened over many, many years, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So again, to kind of end here, I'm gonna take questions. This doesn't need to be a solo player mission. Please don't make it like that. I know some of you think that only you can solve your problems, but please open your brains up to thinking who can potentially help you. Start simple today. Ask for help, and ask for help in the ways that I'm telling you that you may have learned about through the lecture here today. You know, maybe ask better questions. maybe stop asking me about your 10th TikTok. Maybe ask me questions like this that are like more interesting. Like, Farza, where do you think I'm flopping? Be honest with you. Where do you think I'm a flop? Like, where do you think I'm failing? Do you really think I'm going to be anybody here in 6 weeks? Like, be realistic with me. Like, give me the harsh answer, and I'll give you the harsh answer if you want me to be harsh. I'll also give you the nice answer if you want to be nice. As far as, you know, what am I doing really well? How can I be better at that? I would love these questions, you know? I'm sure a lot of the team would love these questions because we're watching you. We kind of have a sense of what you are doing well, what could be better. Hey, how can I improve doing X, Y, Z, you know? Maybe that's an interesting question to ask as well to a teammate, to a friend, to anybody, right? To even each other. These are interesting questions to just ask each other, you know? I know some of you are kind of friends at this point, and so like maybe you won't give each other the harsh realities, but I hope that you all can always be honest with each other. And if someone asks you this question within Build Space, that you would answer honestly. But I know it's hard. And yeah, or hey, reach out to someone some 4 to 5 steps ahead of you. You got nothing to lose. I remember I would reach out to the Snapchat CEO in 2016 because I thought that guy was, I mean, as you can tell, I love Snapchat like for years. So I was like, my dream was to meet Evan Spiegel, you know, like Snapchat CEO, because I thought he was the sickest guy ever. And I would email him once a month forever. And eventually I got an email back saying, hey, I'm Evan's assistant. You can apply for an internship. And I was just like, all right, cool. Dang, I got a response, you know, after like years. Don't do that, you know. Maybe reach out to someone that's a little bit closer to your kind of radius. And yeah, be honest always, be clear with your requests, and most importantly, know where you need help. That's the most important thing. You can't be helped unless you even know what you need help on. And yeah, that's the most important thing. And that's it. Any questions? Yeah.
Do you have some thoughts on like taking advice? Because sometimes when you talk to a lot of people, you get a lot of advice, and sometimes you also get advice on stuff where maybe you don't think you need help on.
Yeah.
And, like, do you have some tips on that?
For sure.
It's very tiring.
Yeah. I think I talked about this with Bronson a little bit today, actually, where it's like everyone, like at BuildSpace especially, I especially, and none of the teammates are trying to give you advice. And you should generally be wary of like people giving you advice. It's like you should always just take the other person's take, and then from there decide: do I want to go with that or do I not want to go with that? It's just up to you. And that's actually pretty hard because you have to kind of internalize what they are talking about and decide for yourself. But yeah, I would never straight follow anybody's advice ever. You should kind of feel like you agree with it. You should feel like it makes sense, and then go for it. You know, again, for example, if I sit here and tell you, James, like, this thing you're working on, I don't know, maybe you should go, like, I don't know, start a concrete company. You know, like, I think, and I give you all the reasons why you start a concrete company. At the end of the day, that's my take. So always take things as takes. Be very wary of advice. I've learned, at least. Yeah. Yes. It's a good question. It depends. If you literally don't know them, and they seem like, for example, like I think Samia's example. This guy seems big enough. Let's go back to him. Holy shit. This guy seems big enough where he probably gets a lot of people hitting him up, I'm guessing, right? So from this guy, I would just honestly try both. Like, I would always start with the simple, like, hey, my name is X, and this is where I'm at, and I really love your stuff, and I feel like I would appreciate if you would help me with the specific problem I have, because I feel like you've done it before. And if you haven't, that's cool. I think at the end of the day, most people are down to help people that they see themselves in, right? So with this sort of person, it's like I would first see if you respond to something like that, and if that doesn't work, then just stay following up. There's no problem, you know? Like maybe they drop a song, and then they left you on red. I love your latest song, you know? Something as simple as that. That's happened to me many times where like I'm trying to get into touch with someone, and they leave me on red, and because they're
Fucking Docker, hay que esperar a que ande, a que corra, a que me quite recursos para streamear, o sea, pero pues, güey, si la gente lo quiere con Docker, se lo vamos a hacer con Docker, pero pues, ya todo debería ser más sencillo, güey, solo quieres una prueba técnica, no lo voy a hacer DevOps, o sea, si voy a hacer DevOps, neta tienes que decirlo en la propuesta de salario, ¿no? Porque si nomás va a ser así, oye, ayúdanos a correr el Docker, y no, pero es que eres backend, pero vaya. Digo, yo sé, el backend es el backend, pues no debería hacer todo, pues no, pero luego la banda se maltripea, pues no, esa es la cosa.
I wanted to potentially perhaps like commentate at Super Smash Brothers events. I thought that'd be awesome, right? And I want to kind of show you here how badly this can go and how kind of shameless I really am. This is my thread with him. Please look at the dates. Feel free. November. February 18th, 2024. Now, if I can do this, I honestly believe that you guys can do anything. Thanks, man. So yeah, started in 2017, right?
You guys have been flagging 6 years.
Again, I think it's like that level of like relentlessness and just shamelessness that you kind of need sometimes. Now, honestly, that may have started getting kind of annoying, but honestly, I really was just being like, yo, like, great work, you know? I really was, like, truly. Huh? Spaced it out really well. It wasn't weird. Only every 4 months, you know? But no, I have that sort of interaction with like hundreds of people on the internet because most people will never reply, and I know that because I'm also that guy that may never reply to a person who reaches out to me. So I know how hard it is. Therefore, you'll catch me in there 20 times before I say, okay, maybe this isn't it, you know? So, yeah.
So I'm responding to people that want to reach out for help because I got like a couple people sending me messages and yeah, I want to help or like your project is cool. Like how would you like? So usually my answer is like, okay, but how can you help or what's your thing or like how would you like manage those people? Like,
you're saying people want to help you? Yeah. My always thing where, how many of you are looking for like potential partners for your projects, for what you're working on? I'm curious. Yeah, interesting. You for sure. It's very simple. If you're ever looking for someone who can help you or who you're trying to help, or mostly people that are trying to help you, like you're trying to find someone to essentially, you know, take your project to the next level, or maybe in this case, maybe be an engineer or something. Yeah, honestly, just do you like talking to them? It's like the most important thing. Again, a call with them, 30 minutes. Do you like talking to them? If you do, then you should keep talking to them. Same thing with this. Like if Samia reaches out to Talwinder, the artist, and Talwinder ends up being like a kind of weird guy, not that fun to talk to. I don't know. Samia, you have no reason to keep talking to him. Same with Furkan. Like if Furkan was like not that fun to talk to day one, I'm not trying to talk to Furkan more. I'm like, okay, like I'm good. Next. So it's okay. Sometimes that happens. You should kind of trust your gut. Definitely don't talk to people just because you want help from them and you don't enjoy talking to them. That's like the worst. It's very exhausting. Yeah.
Just want to share something quick. There have been like 4 to 5 people who have reached out to me who are good at what they're doing.
Yep.
Who were just like, hey, we want to help you or whatever. And since then, I don't feel that I have used their help.
Hola, ahí está. Chequen. Voy a prender aquí nomás porque estamos streameando. Estaba chileando y como les decía, no quería empezar así a hablar yo efusivamente y que la banda de aquí se ondeara, pues no, porque a mí me gusta invitar a la banda y que se ponga a chambear aquí, pues no, de que hay muchas mesas y todo. Pero luego lo agarran uno hablando y cree que así ellos se tienen que callar o se tienen que reservar más o lo que sea, pues no, entonces, bueno, eso es lo que yo pienso que ellos van a pensar, ¿no? O sea, todo esto yo soy el más acostumbrado a streamear y a estar acá en cámara o que me escuchen o bla, 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 pues no. Y estos manes no sé qué tanto, pues no. Entonces, para evitar eso, digo, prefiero ponerme a streamear. No ocupo hacer mucho ruido, puedo usar esta herramienta del SEI y ahora descubrí que tiene una voz en español mexicana, entonces pues nada, puedo aprovechar esas cosas como para irles contando qué pedo y yo dedicarme a trabajar. Igual lo importante es que vean más o menos cómo se resuelve la prueba técnica, ¿no? Acá ya vimos la cosa que nos piden principalmente Python APIs y con Docker y que puedas hacer algo bien básico pero que uses Fast API y con MongoDB. Ya de ahí pues entras a detalle de las cosillas y no hay tanto, ahorita vamos a entrar más a detalle. Pero pues eso es en general, pues, ¿no? Entonces, de alguna forma yo ya he visto cómo correr las cosas en Docker, ya he visto cómo correr las cosas con Python, con Mongo. O sea que hay muchas maneras. Yo usualmente hago las cosas con Flask. Hace rato quería probar Fast API desde la entrevista que le hizo Platzi al creador, porque el creador es, creo que es de Ecuador o Colombia, o mexicano, o pongan ahí abajo en los comentarios si alguien se acuerda de dónde es, pero... ajá, pues no, entonces dije, pues qué chido, o sea, todavía está mejor que Flask y es así igual de minimalista y pues está, sí lo siguen manteniendo y todo eso, pues no, y ahí está el creador para cualquier cosa y todo el pedo. Entonces pues nada, como que me va llamando la atención, pero no había tenido la oportunidad de ponerme a testear algo con eso. Entonces ya de una pues me llegó esta prueba técnica. La neta pues yo quiero seguir con mis proyectos y todo esto, pero pues si sale algo adelante de esta, se ve una industria algo bien. Entonces pues voy a hacer ahí mi mejor esfuerzo. Pero pues parte de hacer el mejor esfuerzo es no estar, o sea, ellos no esperan que escribas todo, y si lo esperan, ahí ya diré mis comentarios, pero no esperan que escribas todo así desde cero y que no sepas ni cómo, ni cuándo, ni, ¿sabes? O sea, tampoco refiriéndome a eso, ¿no? Pero nadie espera que, que hagas la prueba técnica y te lo sepas todo de memoria y te dan, no sé, 5 días para resolverlo y que uses los 5 días en hacerlo lo mejor posible y bla, bla, bla. Para mí, sería mejor que el primer día me mandes algo de lo que hiciste y que esté completo y que, sabes, cumpliste todos los puntos, pero tampoco te excediste, porque si te vas a exceder, yo quiero que te excedas en la chamba, no en la prueba técnica, pues, ¿no? Y yo entiendo que es alguna similitud ahí en donde si te esfuerzas en la prueba técnica, haces cosas de más y bla, 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 pues, o sea, algo pinta bien de esa persona, pues, ¿no? Entonces, pues nada, o sea, me voy a esforzar, voy a hacer mi mejor take de lo que entiendo acá, pero pues, por ejemplo, sé que puedo irme yo a intentar configurar Fast API desde cero y así, pero, o sea, también por mi experiencia, sé que si buscas así Fast API, MongoDB, Python en GitHub o algo acá, te salen estos templates de gente. Yo he hecho templates así, pues, ¿no? He hecho mi template de Go, ahí pueden ir a ver el video, el de Full Stack Web Developer, no sé qué. Ahí hice un template con Go, no estoy seguro si era Mongo o creo que sí es Mongo, lo más fácil que se me ocurre. Pero pues es el punto, pues, ¿no? Utilizar estos templates que alguien ya se enfocó en hacer el template algo bien, que quede ya limpio, sin nada de cosas que no se necesiten o cosas que pones por el ejemplo pero lo terminas quitando, pues ya lo limpias y ya lo dejas como, miren, si alguien va a empezar un proyecto con esta tecnología, usa este template, pues, ¿no? Y como yo ya he hecho algunos de estos, pues también sé que existen otros de estos en GitHub, ¿no? Acá podemos ver, estoy acá en el Fast API MongoDB, este es el ejemplo que tomé. Tiene acá una aplicación que se llama Greens y tiene hasta test y toda la cosa. Entonces, pues, literal no me copié, le voy a dar estrellita. No me copié el código porque pues sí quiero ir viendo qué cosas tiene y o sea, no me cloné el código. Porque sí quiero ir viendo qué cosas tiene y qué cosas voy a quitar o qué cosas se me hacen de más. Llegué a ver algunas cosas que se me hacían de más, como que te diera errorcitos mejor configurados en la terminal y todo eso. Esto que tiene acá en la aplicación, en los utils, tiene este Rich Console, Rich Handler, que es como una forma de loguear mejor, me imagino. Todavía ni siquiera lo he puesto a prueba ni nada, ¿no? Pero estoy viendo que pues tiene esto que realmente yo no pondría, pues, ¿no? Pero, digo, si lo entiendo y lo puedo hacer funcionar con todo eso y es un agregado, pues igual se lo voy a dejar, ¿no? Para mí el objetivo es mandar no este template, pues no, sino que este template lo voy a usar para resolver el 60%, 70% de la configuración de la arquitectura acá. Y pues nada, simplemente dedicarme a resolver las cosas que tienen ahí extras, ¿no? Pero sí, eso les quería decir, pues, ¿no? Que pueden usar ahí los templates que están ahí mientras los entiendan y los puedan usar a la manera que ustedes lo necesitan. Y pues nada, sí les va a ayudar mucho para resolver sus problemas. Y pues lo que les quiero decir es que es eso, pues, ¿no? Al final de cuentas, saber programar es saber que tenemos herramientas ahí disponibles y que podemos utilizarlas a nuestra conveniencia, las que existen, y no se trata de reinventar la rueda, pues, ¿no? Eso lo sabemos muy bien, pues, ¿no? Pero ahora con ChatGPT y todo esto está chingón. Sí, pues ahora con ChatGPT y todo esto estamos como que bien acostumbrados al copy-paste y eso, y ya no sabemos dónde está la línea de qué sí es lo que tenemos que copy-pastear y qué no, y sobre todo en una prueba técnica. Más bien yo le podría haber dicho, no, ChatGPT, hey, ¿me puedes hacer una prueba técnica? ¿Sabes? ¿Sabes? Sí, vamos a ver, miren, por ejemplo. ¿Qué pasa si copio todo esto y lo pego en chat. O sea, de que literal pues me va a dar la respuesta, ¿no? Yo hasta la última prueba técnica que hice no necesitaba hacer, o sea, no existía esta manera de hacer las cosas, entonces pues tampoco lo tengo muy claro. Pero, ¿qué pasa si le pisteamos la prueba técnica tal cual? Entiendo que necesitas desarrollar una API RESTful, bla, bla, bla. Dice acá. Aquí tienes un esquema. ¿Me puedes ayudar con un ejemplo? Puedes ayudar con la base. Vamos a ver. Pip install motor. Hace un modelo de crear usuario, actualizar usuario, borrar usuario. Recuerda que se debe ir integrado en tu aplicación de Flask. O sea, sí, pues, ¿no? Y ya de aquí es irle agregando poco a poco cómo hacer el Docker, cómo bla, bla. Pues yo simplemente no me fié de las máquinas. Ah, bueno, no de las máquinas, pues no, pero ahí puedo. Ya me fui directo a agarrar el código de alguien que ya había hecho algo parecido. Básicamente yo creo que de esto se puede haber basado de esto, ¿no? O sea, inspirado, pues como le dicen. Y pues vemos que usan Motor, que es la librería para acá, que ellos tienen también para conectarse con Mongo. Y bueno, o sea, todo esto me empecé a copiar muchos de los archivos, no todos. No me he copiado, por ejemplo, los workflows de GitHub, ni los static files, ni los tests, ni readmes, ni makefiles, ni bla, bla, bla. Entonces, hasta el momento donde llegué, no he copiado ni los requirements y eso es lo que me está tronando ahorita, ¿no? Acá, este error dice que no pudo copiar estos archivos, entonces ya ahí tampoco pudo copiar los tests. Entonces, lo que esto espera en el Dockerfile para seguir ejecutando, pues ya no la arma, pues, ¿no? Esto no lo pudo correr. Tampoco esto, porque pues no tiene ninguno de esos archivos. Y tampoco pudo correr el copy tests. Greens a greens, pues tampoco. El .m. Vamos a actualizar un poco este archivo. Pero sí, pues no, o sea, ya ahí ya que lo empiezo a correr, ya que sé cómo correr. O sea, yo ya porque sé correr Docker, porque sé correr Docker Compose y veo este proyecto y tiene estas formas de correrlo con Docker Compose y con Docker, pues yo me copio esos archivos base y ya sé qué es lo que se espera acá, pues, ¿no? Entonces vamos a ayudar a completar ahí. Vamos a, por ejemplo, cerrar este. Vamos a explorar y vamos al Dockerfile. Me dice no tengo ni los tests ni el otro, ¿no? Entonces vamos a darle un explore. Vamos a crear aquí un directorio que se llame tests para que sí lo pueda copiar. Y de los tests vamos a crear acá un archivo que se llame init.py. Cerramos el archivo, exploramos, vamos a test, ya tenemos el init. Parte del init tenemos diferentes tests. Y creamos otro archivo que se llama conf.test.py. Testeamos, cerramos, le damos a explore. Creamos otro archivo que se va a llamar testrouters. Testrouters.py. Pasteamos y esto dice checa el health check que funcione, todo bien. bn. Vamos al explore, vamos al test. Creamos otro archivo que se va a llamar test esquemas, test esquemas.py. Vamos a este de acá. Digo, todo esto igual lo hubiera podido clonar pues tal cual, ¿no? Y no hay problema, pero acá miren, vamos a por ejemplo sana esquemas.user y acá document response va a ser user response. Y dice, esto no se usa, ¿por qué? Pues porque lo estoy usando acá en lugar de document, le voy a hacer user response. Y acá hay otro. Acá también se usa en lugar de document, usamos user response. Ahí no debería haber ya problema. Cerramos esto, cerramos esto. Explore. Vamos a los tests, tenemos test esquemas, test routers, test routers, esquemas. No entiendo por qué es que ok, es que no es monospace, ¿no? Porque uno es más grande y acá tienen los mismos caracteres, ¿no? Pero acá sí es monospace. Y por último vamos a copiar el test vex. O sea, esta es una aplicación que tiene una aplicación que se llama Greens, que Greens hace pues referencia como a verdes, a verduras, y tiene la API de Vex, que es como para traer vegetales. O sea, ni siquiera muestra algo de vegetales, solo es como el objeto vegetales. Entonces, de la misma manera nosotros vamos a hacer un test, pero lo que nosotros nos piden para la prueba técnica es users, piso API, .py, y aquí sí, este es status code, dice Simón API Vex va a postear a users ed, exploramos. Y aquí lo que me está diciendo es que copy pyproject.toml ni potrilog funcionaron. Entonces vamos a ver pyproject.toml. Nunca he usado Poetry tal cual, solo lo voy a usar y voy a hacer que el Docker lo instale. Yo no lo quiero instalar en mi compu, pero pues vamos a ver si jala. No sé si hay algo, una carpeta extra que se tenga que hacer. pyproject.toml, pasteamos, este es el proyecto, vamos a ponerle fast API sana fast API. Este va a ser 0.1 y la neta, muchas gracias a Jakub Miasek Dagrilas. Ese es el man que lo hizo, ya le hice estrellita. Pero este paquete se va a llamar a ver, ¿saben qué? Liqueado.com @gmail.com nomás for the lols. El README aquí está. Fast include packages fast API MongoDB. ¿Esto dónde se usa? Ni se usa ni nada, ¿no? Solo vamos a ver si con eso. Python, usa la última versión de Python, usa la Pydantic Fast API, Motor es para conectarse con Mongo, Ubicorn para launchearlo y unas herramientas para la terminal y lintear. Y va, eso es lo que se hace. Exploramos. Aparte del PyProject me pide el poetry.log, pero no sé si ese... Vamos a ver, poetry.log. Si esto... Ajá, es que me pide que no lo cambie, entonces... Si este vato ya se dedicó a instalar todo esto... para que funcione con Docker, pues güey. Yo tampoco es que voy a usar muchas otras... muchas otras librerías, pues no, o sea, si yo ya tengo acceso a Mongo, ya es todo lo que necesito. Entonces ahí estamos. Esto por sí solo ya debería poder correr. No, no es cierto, estoy así diciendo incoherencias, ¿no? Pero creo que sí. Vamos a ver si algo bien o qué. Tin, tin, tiri, 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 tin. You keep saying. Tin, tiri, niri, ni. Miren, la neta, voy a seguir escuchando el Tactical Perreo in Action. Entonces, para que vayan y lo escuchen. Porque se los voy a quitar. Porque si no quiero que... Ahí nomás para que vayan y lo escuchen a sus acá. Puso al Snake a bailar acá este man, güey. Y se aventó sus propios visuales, sus propios... Es que bonito DJ set. Es que bonito. Denle like y suscríbanse. Se rifó algo bien. Es que bonito. Solo, a ver, solo porque...
Es que bonito. Es que bonito.
Algo bien. Ah, sí, ya hasta ganas de pararse uno, ¿no? What the fuck. Taca, 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 toco, 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 toco. Vamos a ver ya a tal cual lo que vamos a hacer. Desarrollar una API RESTful utilizando FastAPI que permita realizar operaciones CRUD, crear actualizadas sobre un modelo de usuario. La API debe interactuar con una base de datos MongoDB para almacenar y gestionar toda la solución. Debe ser containerizada utilizando Docker, facilitando su despliegue con Docker Compose. Desarrollo de API con FastAPI. Implementar endpoints para gestionar el modelo de usuario que incluye al menos los siguientes campos: ID, nombre. Vamos a ver un poco de eso, por ejemplo. Vamos a ver los esquemas, el users. Aquí está model config. Ya tenemos... Tiene que tener el ID aquí. model config. Esto se me hace un poco de más. ¿Qué está pasando aquí, güey? Check if the given object ID is a value and return it as a string. Check object ID. Object. Before validator, check object ID. Annotated es un string. Object ID field. Es cuando entra. Eso es cuando entra. Y luego, ¿por qué esto no tiene el ID? Vamos a ponérselo igual. O sea, es un string que tiene un chequeo a ver si es válido. Y tiene que ser object ID. A ver. Y quieren nombre, age, teléfono, fecha de creación, ese va a ser el modelo user. Ahí ya instaló todas las cosas que necesita. Y ahí está haciendo los tests. Module not found, dice Greens. Algo tronó ahí. Pero todos los tests parecen estar corriendo algo bien. Test. Falló porque module not name en sana en main. En main estoy usando, ok. Vamos a pararlo. O sea, porque ahí ya estaba corriendo todo, ¿no? Y se empezó a correr y se empezó a testear. Entonces dice lo que falla es en el main. No existe tal cosa como greens. Yo ya lo había cambiado esto, ¿no? La app se llama Sana. Change inner word. Sana. Change inner word. Sana. Change inner word. Sana. Change inner word. Sana. Ahí ya debería jalar más cosas todo bien. Lo volvemos a subir. Se empiezan a crear. Attaching to Prosperia. Nombre del named greens en el main. From greens config. Dice en routers. En routers como que algo no se copió chido, dice. Estamos en greens. Vamos a routers. Init. Me faltó pegar esto. Fast API. Vamos a ponerlo en sana. Users. As. Users API. Tags. Users. 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 Vamos a ver. Search grep greens. Por ejemplo, aquí dice greens. Search grep greens. En el conf test. Eso no me la sabía, que ya podía hacer todo eso así rápido, Vamos a volverlo a ejecutar. No module name sana esquemas. Search grep sana.schemas. Users Bex no existe, dice. Porque mi madre se llama users. Y acá se llama user. User response. Cuando le mandas un document, un user response, este va a recibir un user. Y este espera un user response. Algo así. No, response model. El ID nomás. Tararara, tararara. Tararara, tararara. Tererere, tererere. Tererere. Paca. Bonito Python, nada, muchas gracias. No es mío, pero aquí le andamos dando. Es acá Fast API, un template que me topé acá, lo andamos cambiando un poquito para adaptarlo para algo bien básico que necesitamos. Pero supongo que el Python no es de nadie, ¿no? Pero gracias. Saludos al Max Cloud. O sea, hay básicamente will watch for changes in directories. ¿Qué tanto? Si voy acá a 9008. Detail not found. Ya está corriendo Fast API. Solo hay que ver, por ejemplo, acá. En el v1 puedo ir a /users not found. So untouched that I can't do to back that I can't resist you. Ajá, tengo que hacer, por ejemplo, así. Hola, not found. "404 not found". ¿Cómo puedo hacer un valid object ID field? Con JavaScript puedo hacer un UUID aquí en corto. Cripto. ¡Hala, el vato, güey! Mío, música, cómico. Toca, toca, toca. Esta está perra. No sabía que la había incluido en el mix. Dios mío, música. Mi folclore, algo más. Pero no, no es el mismo mix que yo tengo. Toca, toca, toca. Ahora sí, si vamos con un UID, no es un valid UID. ¿Por qué no llega hasta acá? Ah, bueno, intenta hacer el... O sea, si llega aquí. Mira, si vamos acá al retriever, Mongo collection find one. Tengo aquí acceso al log. No sé si estos prints simplemente no pasen, pues, ¿no? Sana utils. Llanomio.com. Taca, taca, taca. Taca, taca, taca. Mongo collection, Mongo. Estos manes, bro. Get logger. app.state.logger. Te caliente, caliente. Acá no tengo la app. Y si quiero loguear algo aquí, ¿qué? Lo paramos. Lo volvemos a setear. Es que bonito. Application startup complete. Vamos a hacer un post directamente desde la terminal. A ver, vamos a ver. Vamos a pedirle a ChatGPT que nos ayude aquí a hacer. Can you help me make a post to with curl with some basic user data? Tengo un raro. Tengo una roquincha, tengo una roquincha. Hola. Tengo muchas cosas para mañana, güey. Vamos a intentar hacer el post con curl, la cámara. Not found, dice. Me regresó not found. Algo no estoy arreglando. Sigue como a Vex o algo acá. Post a users, no existe, bro. Vamos a search grep. Vamos a buscar si en algún lado todavía dice Vex, pero no. Ah, tiene que ser slash API slash. API slash B1 slash users. Ahí está. Unable to processable entity. Un processable entity, porque eso no existe. Pero si vamos acá a users, method not allowed. Ahí está. Ya estamos en la aplicación. Y si le mando acá un hola, error, Pydantics value error, un processable entity, de que bro, lo que tú me pides Aún así no salen los prints aquí, ¿no? Los prints no funcionan. Todo se está logueando. Este es un test. Pero yo lo que quiero... Donde que no se encuentra health check. Hasta desde que status ok, ¿no? Todo jalando. Pues ahí está, o sea, ya tenemos la app jalando. Me voy a evidenciar con los tipos de datos y eso, pero ya vieron más o menos cómo se corre Fast API. MongoDB, digo que tampoco es que les explique mucho, ¿no? Todo viene acá en el Dockerfile, pero por eso hay que entender a leer los Dockerfiles. Si vamos acá, por ejemplo, Explore, vamos, esta es toda la app, pues, ¿no? O sea, che, vato, se rifa, güey. Sí, pues no, o sea, hay que aprender a leer acá toda la app. Sabemos que sana o tenemos un paquete que va a ser la aplicación tal cual. Y ahí se describe todas las rutas, todas las formas de hacer. Y todo eso se va a correr desde afuera, pues, ¿no? Entonces en el Dockerfile se va a explicar cómo correr. Pero en esta ocasión, como necesitamos dos servicios, es decir, el de la aplicación y el de la base de datos, estamos usando Docker Compose para levantar los dos al mismo tiempo y que estén conectados y que no haya ningún problema, ¿no? Entonces, ahorita en el Dockerfile acá se muestra cómo se instala en todas las dependencias y Poetry para instalar todos los requerimientos del proyecto. Y una vez que ya se instalan todo, acá se copia todos los archivos del proyecto y se crea el usuario para que este usuario pueda correr la aplicación, ¿no? Una vez pasa eso, Docker Compose lo que hace, bueno, no, eso es para correr la aplicación, pero Docker Compose se encarga de correr la aplicación en el servicio acá web, en este. Aquí está corriendo la aplicación con este ambiente de entorno. Le dice a Ubicorn que es una... le dice a Ubicorn que es una de las dependencias que corre el paquete sana.main, la aplicación que está ahí, y la ponga en el puerto 9008. Y luego ya le agrega colorcitos y le agrega reload por si se cae, lo que sea. Y eso todo lo monta en el home code, así directamente. Todo lo que esté en el directorio actual, que es punto, lo copia a 2 puntos a home code, eso en el Docker, adentro del ambiente de Docker, ¿no? Y libera el puerto 9008, que es donde va a estar corriendo la aplicación. También prende, o sea, hace que la computadora donde se está corriendo le pase lo que sea que viene al puerto 9008, se lo pase a Ubicorn y que lo pueda procesar, ¿no? Entonces ahí ya se lo pasa de vuelta y lo regresa y ya me puede dar las respuestas a mí. Y esto depende de otro servicio que se llama MongoDB. El servicio de MongoDB agarra la última versión de Mongo con las variables de entorno que tenemos, libera el puerto igual para que Mongo pueda ser utilizado y le mete todas las variables de entorno para iniciarlo y empieza el servicio de Mongo, ¿no? Entonces ya tenemos ahí una base de datos y una aplicación, bueno, más bien una aplicación y una base de datos que se levanta para que la aplicación pueda correr, ¿no? Entonces, ya que teniendo eso configurado, pues ya tenemos las dos aplicaciones. Ya una vez que yo vengo acá y le doy, o sea, ya teniendo instalado Docker y Docker Compose, yo vengo acá y hago Docker Compose App sobre el directorio en donde tengo configurado acá mi Docker file, mi Docker Compose. Entonces Docker Compose va a checar qué servicios tiene que levantar, los empieza a levantar. En el de acá de la aplicación se le dice cómo instalar el servicio, el build, ándale, en el build. Uno tiene ya una imagen que ya está arriba y en el servicio este de web hace un build que es en el que está en el directorio actual, y eso significa que va a correr el Dockerfile y va a empezar a instalar todo, a copiar todos los archivos y a dejar que Ubicon los corra, ¿no? Ya que existen en el Dockerfile. Ahora, ya teniendo eso, pues ya es directamente entrar a los archivos de mi aplicación y configurar las diferentes rutas que tenemos, y más tarde vamos a ir sobre los tests, ¿no? Entonces, más o menos todo esto que les estoy diciendo se los voy a explicar en un readme, así sencillito, tampoco mucho, porque es parte de lo que piden acá, y le voy a agregar algunos otros endpoints. Por ejemplo, ahorita tengo el crear y el leer, me tengo que agregarle el actualizar, el borrar, y ya con eso ya estamos del otro lado. Ya esto ya está containerizado, ya está la MongoDB, ya está corriendo, y ya está haciendo una API con Fast API. Entonces ya solo me falta documentar un poco los endpoints que voy a crear y todas las especificaciones que encontré. El manejo concurrente de llamadas a la API y sus... Implementa el manejo concurrente de llamadas a la API y sus operaciones. Es que sea asíncrono, pues, ¿no? Pues creo que eso ya también ya está. El código va a decir las buenas prácticas de desarrollo, funcionalidad. O sea, neta, esto es más que nada ¿cómo se llama? Una consideración, ¿sabes? Un thumbs up de que, hey, sí sé hacer esto. Pues no, tampoco es como que lo tengo que hacer lo más complicado del mundo. Igual ya ahí se muestra, si me tienen preguntas me las van a preguntar y les voy a saber responder. Entonces, pues nada, ahí lo voy a dejar más o menos para que vean qué es lo que se hace en una prueba técnica. Más o menos como en 2 horas, distrayéndome y así, ir viniendo. Yo creo que le meto 1 hora más y ya acabo el resto de los endpoints, pero pues vamos a distraernos con otras cosas y no tanto estar streameando la distracción. Pero sí, creo que algo bien. Se logró lo que se tenía que lograr y ya quedamos esto. Ya más o menos vieron. Si tienen dudas, pues revisen el video que fue lo que fui haciendo, y si tienen más dudas, déjenlas ahí abajo en los comentarios y acá vamos a andar para lo que se les ocurra. Y igual vayan al Discord de 9xdz para que vayan y chequen. Si tienen dudas, pues ahí, ¿no? Igual voy a estar intentando mantenernos actualizados por ahí de todas las cosas que vamos haciendo. Pero sin más, creo que ya fue todo. Ahí si tienen dudas, me dicen. Si no, me voy a empezar a pelar de aquí un ratillo más. Ah, mira, 2:10. Sí, ya con eso. Algo bien, ¿no? Algo bien. Pero pues eso fue. Muchas gracias a todos los que creyeron. Y nos vemos. Ahí nos vemos, Max. Chao. Suerte.